Hello, Louise. This is Louise Mustard, and I'm talking to her. I'm in North Carolina, USA, and Louise is in Perth, Australia. Hello, Louise, and please talk to us about what you do with your training as a spiritual emergence coach. I know you're an art therapist and you're also leading meetups with spiritual emergence coaches in Australia and Singapore. We'd love to hear more about you.
Yeah, hi Emma. I live in Perth, Western Australia, and I did the training with you back in I think it was 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I'm an art therapist. I work in various different areas in Perth, with mainly in the area of mental health. And yeah, we do have a support group going now, and it's been going for about a year. And it kind of started with a couple of people contacting the website here, which was our Spiritual Emergence Network website here, and looking for some kind of support because they were going through an experience. They had a mental health diagnosis, but were going through an experience of some really quite unusual things happening, a bit of opening up, a bit of psychic kind of experiences, and they were feeling very, very, very strongly that they simply had to stop, and everything was in flux and about to change. And this, of course, didn't go down very well with family members because nobody just walks away from their job and just kind of waits for things to change. It was a very difficult time for them and very stressful. And when I contacted them, because their names were passed on to me, and I contacted them, and I thought, well, I don't know yet whether we're ready to have a group. And I don't know really whether I'm the best person to help them, because here we have a number of coaches and they all specialise in different areas. They all have different strengths and come from different backgrounds. And I thought, well, if they're going through a Kundalini experience through yoga, for example, we have a coach here who does yoga. Perhaps I, could pass them on to her. But when I met with them, it was really interesting because I felt I really resonated with where they were coming from, and I really connected with them. And so I found another coach. So that we could set up a beginning group. And because it was only very early and we didn't really it's a bit hard to go and hire somewhere when you've only got a couple of people and two coaches, and I felt comfortable around them. So we had the first meeting in my home, and that went really, really well. And since then, and the model for our meetings is basically that we turn up, everyone brings a plate, or if they want to, and not if they don't, and we basically just check in, and that generally goes for quite a long time, and we just listen to each other, and then discussion kind of comes out of that. And since then we now have two more members, so we have four members and two coaches, and it's been really lovely because a year on, looking at those two people who are still not employed and still searching, but now have a much stronger sense of themselves and a much stronger understanding that their diagnosis doesn't define them. And that, in fact, what they're doing now, they understand, is tackling quite heavy intergenerational trauma, because they can see how it will impact their own children going forward, and they have just stopped, and that's what they're doing. And they now have a really strong sense of that, and also a very strong sense that they have guidance to do that in the form of spirit guides and other kind of support. And they were just saying the other day, we had our last meeting on Friday, and they were just saying that this group has been really wonderful for them because, they're able to just talk about all this stuff around people who don't judge them and who completely get it. But it's also, it's just a lovely thing to be held, to be held by a group like this, and to be able to just feel safe and know that they were saying that, it helps them to maintain the bigger picture, the vision of what they're doing and where they're going.
Yes.
and not get lost in what family or other people around them think or the judgment that happens from day to day. So that's been really lovely.
Mm.
And we have another member who, has been going through the shamanic path, and that has been really wonderful because she's had some really wonderful experiences to talk about in the group, which have really, really been inspiring and special. And interestingly, the people in the group all kind of, the issues resonate. It's just really interesting how that's happened. And we now have a new member, and she is, she's very much in a similar vein, probably has had a much more serious mental health issue in the past, but is very much now moving beyond that and very clear that she feels this is, that she is having an opening and has experiences that are, similar to the other people in the group, of just awareness of, she's just become much more sensitive and much more aware of what's going on around her, and feels, feels that her task now is to deal with intergenerational trauma and to address that.
I'm so inspired by what you're saying. It's just great to hear more about it. And I don't have the opportunity usually to check in with what's going on with each group. So it's fabulous to hear this, Louise. I just wanted to mention one thing for clarification, and that has to do, I think, really with language, which is you said people feel held. And I'm guessing that you're not physically holding people, but instead it's more holding the space so people can feel safe to talk and hear each other and be heard. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
okay.
So it very much feels like a safe space. And we were talking about this. I was giving a bit of a report on the group to our online hookup last night, and they were saying, "Oh, that's great that you're doing that," and and I said, well, I just actually find it really lovely. It's not hard. It's actually very inspiring for me. And it's really very simple. People just rock up with their plates of food, and we just really, really enjoy each other and just listening, and it's a really powerful thing just to have people around you who kind of understand and can appreciate what you're going through, and there's no judgment, and but there are some also really in the discussion often some very good ideas and suggestions about strategies and about things to read, or there's been some really great stuff that's come out of it. So I would encourage anyone who's maybe a bit concerned about running a group and say it's actually really very simple thing to do, and it's really rewarding. I find it really rewarding.
Great. Well, I think it's simple for those who feel comfortable with that territory, and that's part of what the training does is creates more comfort with it. I think it's less simple for those who have no idea of this territory and equate people going through these big experiences like psychic opening or shamanic journey with going crazy. But you've got the training, and it sounds like you're really helping people reduce stigma and look more deeply into what's going on and helping them in their transformation. It's just a joy to hear. So we've run out of time, Louise. I'm sorry to say it's absolutely a joy to be with you and to catch up a little bit. And thank you so much for doing this brief interview with me.
Oh, thank you, Emma. It's been great. Thank you.
Okay.